So, I got a story to share with you guys about something called instant gratification and how it killed a business in a matter of months. And the problem with that is that a lot of business owners who go into this concept of starting a business or starting their own venture, what they end up doing is they hurt themselves, right, by creating a business that's really based on instant gratification. And what I mean by that is, let's say they would start something and they would basically create products or services that are not necessarily unique per se, but they just do the right thing for a short period of time. They satisfy a customer's need for a very short period of time. And sometimes it doesn't even solve a problem. So if it's not really solving a problem, and if the customer kind of feels that, you know what, I don't know what I was thinking, why did I even buy this? And that time of realization for them to question and regret the decision of even buying a product or service from a business within a couple of minutes to days on end, within that short period of time, that gap, right, that's called instant gratification. And most people think when I talk about instant gratification, it has to do with trying to get money right away. It has nothing to do with that, right? So my explanation for instant gratification is when you are doing a business and you see it through your customers, the regret, within a very short period of time. And that tells you a lot about what kind of business you're in, whether you're doing the right thing, whether you've engaged in, business in a way that would entertain the idea of long-term value, or whether or not, you're in the right space at all. So the story I'm about to share with you is a real story, and I apologize about the background as there's some construction going on. So the story I'm about to share with you is very critical because I bring this to you to, as a customer, or even a business owner, for example, to give you an idea of what you should expect from each other. Whether you're a customer or whether you're a business owner. And this idea is not far-fetched. So let me begin with the story. Number one, a while back when I started my business and I had a dirt arbitration business, and just to give you guys a backstory on that, a debt arbitration business is something that you go into, you find customers, large quantities of customers, and like a minimum of $10,000 of debt. And sometimes this quantity of customers fall within the same bank. So let's say if it was Bank of America, I had like, let's say 200-300 customers from Bank of America, all with credit cards, all at high rates, they're defaulted. And it's like a settlement offer, right? So you would have these, 200-300 customers. We put together a settlement offer, and then that settlement offer would essentially create a very compelling way of the banks working with you. Essentially, trying to negotiate the payoff, the liquidity. And arbitration was essentially me offering the bank something and the customers paying me something. In that sense, the customers were saving a huge quantity. But the problem with that type of business, and I'm guilty of this, we're talking about instant gratification here. The problem with that type of model is it doesn't really consider the client's credit, because what you're doing is you're damaging and settling for an amount that's pretty much, sometimes 1/3, sometimes 1/10, 1/8, of the original debt obligation. And when that happens, the customer essentially, yeah, they're happy because they're saving a lot of money, they don't have to pay it back, but the credit takes a huge hit. So not only did I, handicap the ability for them to go out there and borrow again, I made it more difficult for them to stand strong financially. Even if they had cash, credit is very critical. We talked about this. It's the cornerstone of your wealth. So when that happens, right, I was thinking to myself, man, I should really not be doing this, because the end result is like I can settle as much as I want. Let's say if I ask the banks to settle in for 1/10, which is like 10 cents on the dollar. If I tell the customer I successfully arbitrated, the fees are going to be 30 cents on the dollar. So I made like twice whatever the banks did, or sometimes double. It's a very lucrative business, by the way. It works all the time, but nowadays there's regulations and laws and stuff like that, so it's incredibly difficult to get into. But assuming that was the case, yeah, sure, it's good money, but it was not value driven, because I lost that customer after that instance. They don't need me anymore. After they're done with what they have to do and they settle and they save their 70 cents or 80 cents on the dollar, they can walk away from me and not ever have to deal with me again. And for them to deal with me is a painful process, right? I'm not saying I'm an unpleasant person to work with. You guys clearly know that, but the unpleasantry starts in the mind. When I let's assume Ali Tarafdar back in 2008 and 7, what kind of business he was. Would you go to Ali Tarafdar because you feel good about yourself because you want to apply for funding, or would you go to Ali Tarafdar because you felt that, oh my God, I don't feel like I can't pay my bills. I'm financially stuck. I'm squeezed till my last dime. My family's struggling, and I got a bad gut feeling about doing this, but I have to do it because at the end of the day, I got to save money and see what I can do to, continue my life. So that level of unpleasantness, like you felt it in conversations when people are just holding back information and they're not sharing openly about what financial circumstances they're in and what kind of difficulties they're going through. And that makes it difficult for me to, think about, like even now, I think about those type of scenarios where the type of customers that I was sitting across and the type of business I had, even though it was beautiful, a lot of money to be made, millions of dollars to be made, my outcome personally, wasn't very successful. And what I mean by that is, even though I had the money, I didn't build the relationships that I wanted. I wasn't able to do that. I was very stuck in terms of dealing with the way I was doing business. The money was great, so I kept the system as it was, and I really never thought about the next step for the customer. I never really thought about what I needed to do so that these customers don't feel bad when dealing with me, but they'll come back and ask me for advice and consulting and ask me for guidance on what to do next. What are some of the things that they can take in terms of steps right away to move immediately from what situation they're at to where they need to be, at least, step by step. So I realized that after a while, right? And I created this system for credit enhancement. And what it ends up happening was at the beginning, because of the type of sheer volume at that market time and the market conditions, the arbitration business was beautiful, but my credit enhancement business was slowly picking up as well. And when it started picking up, I realized something. I realized that I can serve two needs at the same time, right? I can serve the need of customers waiting who are looking to, number one, settle. They can't pay. They're in a financial and they really have difficulty maintaining. And then I can provide guidance on the other side to give them ideas and strategies and tips, even tactics on what to do after that step, right? So they have a downfall, and then I'll be there for when they rise. And that became more of a sustainable trend for me. That instant gratification turned into the long game. And I think that a lot of business owners nowadays will feel and agree with me that, if you have a way to serve both ends of the table, there's a lot of money to be made. But more importantly, the customers don't really feel regret about the decisions they make because they know you'll be there holistically to guide them to take care of what they need and to provide a service that's a little bit different than the traditional one-man shop, right? You're going to you're going to provide a complete solution that tailors to their financial needs, that gives them the ability to come to you and walk away better than they were before. And this is critical, right? So as we discussed at the very beginning, if your customers are saying that, look, I regret making a purchase, man. It was expensive. I didn't know if I needed to do this, but I feel like it's unpleasant. That feeling of unpleasantness in your customer instantly after dealing with you, or in a very short period of time after dealing with you, is clear evidence of instant gratification in your business model. Because it doesn't show or doesn't create outcomes of pleasantness inside the customer, the satisfaction that they need to pursue their business and to grow it, or to pursue their personal financial goals and to achieve a level of outcome that is better than what they are now. So, yes, we talked about why I give out a lot of free content on YouTube. We talked about the reason as to why I do that frequently. But another big reason is because for me, right, connecting with you, providing you value, telling you some of the steps that you can take, which doesn't cost me much, right? What I'm doing is I'm building that pleasant relationship that we discussed, right? Like we talked about that instant gratification, and then being there throughout the transformation, being there to provide you with a pleasant conversation instead of an unpleasant one on what steps to take next. So I think that a lot of business owners miss that step, right? So most of these guys out there, and I'm not going to name drop or anything like that. I don't need to. My business is completely different. I don't really have anything against them or them against me, I hope. But I'll tell you what, most of these guys out there that are either a one-man shop and they're trying to, something happens to the market and all of a sudden they have a product out for it, and they're the right fit for that, and hurry up and give them a call. Look, man, and gals, of course, I think that, you have to be careful with spending money irrationally on impulse, most importantly, because I think what it does is the reason why a lot of people's credit are like that, and the reason why I tell them to be careful with spending is because impulse buying, because you feel that, oh my God, that person has a good pitch and he's told me to call and he's got this new thing on the market. When you see a new thing on the market and that person doesn't have consistency on maintaining whatever they've been doing for a long time, that's a problem. That should tell you that any other problem you come in your life and they'll find a way to make it a problem for you because they're basically leading that business direction in a sense that they kind of know what kind of person you are. They've already spent, so they got you by the hook, and they'll know to drag you up until the point where you basically have to come back to fix your personal credit issues. Um, it's not a very sustainable business model. It's a really instant gratification type of business model. Because I'm pretty sure some of you guys out there, and gals, of course, who bought some of these courses possibly, or maybe a package of some sort of letters, or possibly you've engaged in services for fulfillment, haven't got the 100% satisfaction that you're looking for. Deep down, you're probably rationalizing with yourself, oh, I spent, so I'm probably going to be good because these guys say it's good and they have comments on it. But we have to pay attention to the consistency on the performance of those individuals. Yeah, okay, they're really good. They do certain things really fast. But I don't mean performance as to what kind of delivery they offer, because most of these guys, they're not doing themselves. They delegate those type of tasks, sometimes to even me. And quite frankly, I just don't do anything because I know for a fact that I want a customer to come through me because they know who I am. They know my method, my structure, my education, and then essentially they start a relationship on the good first step, right? Not in a, oh, I have to pay to get this done, and they don't even know who I am, and in the back office doing the work, right? So think about that. Is that person consistent? And this is to you as a customer, right? Not as a business owner. And of course, this also goes directly into the business owner side. Is that business or individual consistent? Have they been consistent from the beginning? Have they changed business models in between? Are they trying to pump up certain products or services just to make a quick buck? Just because the market says it's the best thing to do, right? Now, I'm not against, capitalism. I believe it's good. Entrepreneurship should be dedicated to that. But I believe strongly, and I'm a big advocate of self-education. And I want customers to take advantage of the fact that, they can go out there, learn, get the knowledge they need to, and come informed when buying a product or service. Because what it does is the outcome is accelerated, right? There's no education in between. There's no feedback to be given in between, because at the end of the day, if you're not really sure of what you're doing and you just buy something on impulse and you're not getting the outcome that you want because you don't understand it, it's because you didn't take the first steps to realize how this individual or that person works. And if they're not really educating you or giving you value, how do you know how they work? How do you know what the process is that they take? There's no level of transparency there. And that hurts the customer more than it hurts the business. Because at the end of the day, the customer is confused. The customer feels like they're being used, like a friend who gets called because he has a lot of money just to hang out so he can pay the bills for other friends, right? I'll tell you what, you as a customer, who's ever listening to this, you guys are more valuable, right? You have to respect yourself. Yeah, okay, you want to buy some products or service, you want to get the outcome that you want, you want to move your credit to the next level, build your wealth, of course, all these type of things we all want to do because at the end of the day, we got a life to live, we have family to take care of, we got to take care of ourselves. But you owe it to yourself to deep dive into understanding somebody that you're going to be doing business with, and really taking your time to analyze on whether or not that individual has been consistent, and whether or not they actually take the time to educate you the right way and provide you information that's going to be helpful for every step of the transaction. Because if they're not doing that, then the instant gratification thing can, like I told you guys, and I of course asked you guys about the fact that, maybe recently you bought a product or service or something of sort that you're not really satisfied with, because you feel like they're taking advantage of you. I don't know what else to say. Like it's crazy, right? So Just think about that, right? That's how instant gratification kills a lot of businesses. And that one business that I would say is, as an example, and not myself, and I talked about the changes I made to adapt to giving customers a more pleasant experience. But there was one business that was doing a competition with me in New York. He was in Fifth Avenue. He was not too far from the office, but he actually created a similar business model that I had, but he took it to the next level, right? He had people walk in and pay like a retainer just to talk to him. And what ended up happening was, attorneys got involved and people like that, and he got sued because he felt like he was trying to squeeze every dime he can from customers because he knew. Here's the trick, right? Here's how you know somebody's not really long-term driven. They try to make money real quick up front without really giving value first. It's because they don't really got any type of tangible goods behind the scenes, because that's the only thing they got working for them, and that's the only thing they'll be known for. There's no consistency. There's no filling the gap. There's no transitioning and transforming. That basic education to the mid-level education, to the intermediate education, to the advanced education, to the expert education, to the authoritative education. There's no transition. It's just that level that they have, and behind the scenes, they got nothing working for them. So they got to make money fast, and they got to make a lot of money fast. So they charge you a premium for that. Now, I don't mind charging premium services. I'll be honest with you. I do deal with a lot of high net worth individuals, very wealthy individuals. Some of them are $100 million minimum. Some of them, multi hundred millionaires. And these individuals, is pretty crazy because these type of firms that I'm talking about, like these type of individuals, they are paying, upwards of $500,000 for a product. And, I'm in that part of designing the product and making sure that they get the ultimate, service to tailor it to their money needs, because it's a lot of a bigger headache than the traditional type of individuals that I deal with, right? But they're happy paying that premium because they know the outcome. But at the end of the day, if you're paying something, you as a customer, if you're paying something more expensive and you're not really sure of like whether or not you're going to get the outcome you're looking for, geez, I don't know if you guys should. I'll be honest with you. Do your research, like I told you. Find out if that individual is consistent. Find out whether or not they have your best interests at heart. Find out whether or not they're taking the time to educate you and guide you and provide you value, and are being consistent with it. Are they taking the time to do, podcast interviews, different videos? You guys will see on my channel. Tomorrow I'll be, by the way, interviewing Angelo Christian. That's a recorded interview, of course, but you got to pay attention that you'll be learning about mortgages. And then the Saturday after that, we go into group coaching in terms of the type of things I'll be doing for you guys. I'll be in different cities, and I'll be putting groups together that will learn the whole system that I teach in the UPCM, the Ultimate Personal Credit Mastery. But at the group will get a complimentary 12-month of credit repair enhancement service, which is beautiful. But just going back into that, does that person take the time to add value? Do they write a book? Are they publishing articles? Are they interviewing on other people's podcasts? Are they doing talk shows and participating in segments in a radio? Which, by the way, guys, I'm doing, right? So also tomorrow at around 1 o'clock, I'll be, or let's say not 1 o'clock, but 2:50 Eastern, which I believe will be around 11:50 your time. I'll be interviewing on radio, and I'll be giving advice and stuff like that on the markets and all these different things. But I'm not doing this to show off. I'm just saying that, man, I love going out there and explaining content and giving advice and providing value to an extent where customers come to me because they have some sort of idea of what they want to do. They have a clear path of what direction to take. And I'm happy for that, because now I don't have to spend a lot of time educating them and trying to sell them something. I want the customer not to sound rash, but I want them to be sold on the idea of transforming themselves to be in a better position. And they need to know that I'll be there to guide them for that. If they're not in that mindset and they're just looking for a quick fix, then those customers deserve to have headaches and regrets after. Because at the end of the day, they're not long-term driven. So they will get attracted to those individuals that are just there to take them like the bad friends that they are, to call them when they need money, help, or issues, or just to treat them the way it is, like another product or another number in a customer list, right? Sorry about the rant, guys. I just want you to understand that I am trying to explain to you that you have to pay attention to those individuals who need to be consistent. If you're going to purchase a product or service from them, or if you're going to do business with them, consistency is the key. All right, with that said and done, my friends, I hope that this video was helpful. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed what I said to you today. Don't forget to subscribe and turn that bell icon on. So every time there's a new video like this, you'll be first to be notified. leave comment below. Explain to me, or ask me if you want, if you have any questions related to this matter. Tell me what you learned that you felt connected with you as a customer, right? What are some of the things that I said today that you felt strongly about? And express those thoughts to me below, because what it does, it shows me and it gives me some sort of idea that you guys are actually listening, and you want to see change in the industry, you guys. You want value. You deserve it, and more importantly, I think everybody deserves to be in a situation where they can work together to collaborate and to create a better environment, right? For this, not just for us as a business, but as you as a customer, so that we can all end up in a situation where we'll be brilliantly making success happen and creating those financial outcomes in our lives. So with that said and done, this is your guide and mentor, Ali Tarafdar. Bye for now.